find a way, find an apparatus to stay in touch with those guys where they always know that no matter what's going on in life, Coach Gibson's going to pick up his phone and say hello. He's going to text me back, that I can count on him for advice in life. I can count on him for career advice. And I can just know, hey, when the world feels like it doesn't care, Coach Gibson cares. And if you can establish yourself in those areas with your players, and I think you can be a really effective coach. We can win some games on the field because that's important, but we can win a lot more battles off the field as well and have a connection that lasts for a lifetime.
Episode 136 featured Coby Gipson, the associate head coach at Lamar University. Coach Gipson and I, we spoke about the importance of building trust and relationships with players. And he believes that that's been a crucial element to his success as a football coach over his 21 years. Coach Gipson also stressed the significance of connecting with players beyond just football, and especially staying in touch with them once their eligibility ends. Also excited to collaborate with our friends over at Coach and Share, the go-to online marketplace for coaches to buy and sell products. I hope you guys enjoy the episode. It's a really exciting conversation, so let's dive right in.
Started as a high school coach in Texas, and was offense coordinator for 6 years at Grace Community in Tyler, Texas, and I was the head coach at Bishop T.K. Gorman in Tyler, Texas as well. Moved on to be the offensive coordinator, assistant head coach at Howard Payne University in Brownwood, Texas, and then from there, my first recruiting coordinator job was at East Texas Baptist in Marshall, and then this will be my 5th season here at Lamar University in Beaumont, Texas. So it's been a great adventure in the coaching profession, and excited to be where I am right now.
Awesome. So off camera for the audience watching, we were just talking about how Coach Gipson was actually a Division III baseball player. So going back to your days as a college athlete coach, can you just share with the audience how that has helped shape your coaching career thus far?
Absolutely. It was, to make a long story short, I grew up on the sidelines of a high school football program. My uncle was a longtime head coach in Texas, multiple state championships. And I spent a lot of time on the sideline with him. Knew that I wanted to be a football coach the whole time. Talent-wise, probably was more suited to play baseball in college, and did that. And then in my experience there, just saw really where it was just more than the enjoyment of sport. It was the enjoyment of building something together, building something with teammates. And now, my college teammates were the ones that stood next to me in my wedding. And so for me, that's a really big deal. It's really my motivation of why I want to give student athletes a great experience at the college level.
Yeah. And if you think about it, I also had a similar career when I was at Gettysburg College. My friends that I played with are still some of my closest guys, and I'm only 3 years out of school at this point, but those are guys I'll keep in touch with forever. And like you were saying, I think sports is probably one of the last industries, or if you will, really it's a business where relationships, no matter what, they're gonna have to be at the top of everything. So can you talk about I know you mentioned you grew up on the sideline. Can you talk about some relationships that have helped shape your career?
Absolutely. I think for me, relationship is just a word that a lot of people use. And, people will say it's their why. And I'm a big believer that the why is important, but we don't talk enough about the how. The how is the why to me is the main idea. The how is the details. And so early on in my career, I worked for Coach Mike Maddox and Coach Alan Metzel, two great high school coaches in the East Texas area, both come out of the Jeff Traylor Gilmer system, where Coach Traylor is now the head coach at UTSA. And one of the first things they taught me as I got into coaching was they would ask me, are you coaching your top player as hard as you're coaching your bottom player? And are you spending time with those kids off the practice field to ensure that you are developing trust with those players? That way, when you ask them to do something, they know that you know what you're talking about. And to me, that is a tremendous point as far as young coaches go, is building trust with your players is the utmost importance. And people will talk about, yeah, we have relationships. You're not ever going to go into a college visit and the coach stand up and say, we're not about relationships. Everybody says that. But what do you do and how do you do it to build that connection? Because really, the love of football, the passion for football really may be the main connecting point with you and your players. You may have a different background growing up. You may look different. You may come from different places, but at the end of the day, you can connect on football. So you better be a rock star at your job so that when you ask them to do something that may be out of their comfort zone, they're like, yeah, let's do it. This guy knows what he's talking about. He's here to help me. He cares about me. I'm on board.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that. One of the other episodes I did a few weeks ago with Kurt Hines, if you know him, he coaches out at Coronado High School in
Yes.
California. But he's big on Twitter too. He was talking about that same thing, is just coaching up everybody the same exact way. And no matter what, if you have that relationship off the field, your players are going to go that extra mile. When it's 4th and 1, they're going to go all in for you. So I think that's something really anybody that's a coach, especially early on, can learn from.
Yeah, no, there's no question, and to me, it comes from the 5 minutes at post practice where you grab a kid and work a perimeter blocking drill with him, and that leads to conversations that may be outside of football as well. You walk off the field together, shoulder to shoulder, and he knows that you just invested 5 minutes of time in him, and it doesn't take long. It just takes intentionality and planning and being able to go help him with a football drill, a football skill, but then also being able to connect with him on a personal level.
Thanks again to our friends over at Coach and Share for sponsoring today's podcast. I checked out the website and they have a lot of interesting products from guides to templates. Definitely check it out. It's called coachandshare.com.
For sure. And going to your time at Lamar University, now you're in year 5, or are you going into year 6 this year?
Going to year 5, fifth season.
Year 5. Okay. So, what are some ways that you have, and we talked about the why, but also the how. Can you talk about some of the things that you've done at Lamar University to work on the how?
Yeah, first off, my position group is going to be at my house, and they're going to interact with my wife and my kids. We're gonna feed them. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna watch a football game, and that's something that we really enjoy doing is opening the doors to our house so that they can get a home cooked meal. This is the first time. Big difference in high school and college coaching is, sometimes they just need a home cooked meal. Sometimes they just need an open door, a soft place to land. When they're in the pressure cooker that college football is, and we want to be able to do that. And then secondly, we're gonna schedule one-on-one meetings for guys just to come hang out in the office. We're not talking anything about football. We're gonna talk about academics. We're gonna talk about their home life. We're gonna talk about what's going back on at home. As they get older, the connection becomes clear. I've had guys ask me, how do you know this girl is the right person to marry? How do I know what job I want? How do I know if I want to coach someday? And those are really genuine conversations that are very rewarding in this profession. And so for me, it all goes back to intentionality because football is a crazy game as far as game planning. There's always something to do. The job's never over. Recruiting's 365 days a year. I'm answering text messages at Christmas. At some point you got to really schedule, be intentional, and how you're going to connect with your players outside helping them be a better football player.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice, especially for the young guys. So, how long have you been officially coaching now?
This will be my 21st football season in the fall of 24.
So, if you had to go back 21 years ago, knowing what you know now, what, if anything, would you change or do differently?
Yeah, I think from a football perspective in general, I had a coach, one of my mentors, pull me aside when I was really young coaching, and he said, "You know what? You're a really good coach for everyone that learns like you, but for everybody else, I don't know how effective you are." And that hurt because I trusted him, but that's exactly what I needed to hear. And I'm so thankful he said that to me. I'm a very visual learner. So everything I was teaching was a visual based learning style. So for the guys that were kinesthetic learners or auditory learners, I probably wasn't connecting with them for them to be able to learn um, in a way that was effective for them. So I had to find ways, go talk to coaches on how you meet those learning styles. And that became something that really helped me coach better is being able to do that. So I'm very thankful for a coach that was just honest with me. And then, players are a reflection of their coach. And the first person I ever heard say that was Coach Trailer at Gilmer High School. And luckily I got to work for some guys that were underneath him. And for me, that goes, there's three reasons why things don't happen the way you want them to happen on the football field, in the classroom, in the community. And that's it starts with this. It starts with number one, you asked your players to do something they couldn't do. So you asked them, it looked really good on the board, but they couldn't do what you asked them to do, or you didn't explain it well enough. That's number two. You didn't explain it well enough. You didn't meet their learning style. Number three is you asked them to do something that they didn't care enough to do it. Well, to me, that's also a coach issue because have you exhausted your resources and being able to motivate to spark that kid to be able to do what he's supposed to do? And then that carries to the off the field of how are you addressing some of these kids have some really tough backgrounds and maybe they've never been told how to address a teacher in a classroom or how to behave when they're called out on something that maybe they didn't do and being able to really process that and handle themselves in a mature fashion where they can function in society and be a productive member of society off the football field. So players are a reflection of their coach, and that's something that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, a lot of good tidbits in there. So, any last words, Coach, that you would want to share with the audience today that we haven't talked about so far?
I think football is one of the last beacons to be able to connect with people and with players. And to me, it goes like this. And I'll go from one extreme to the other. At the start of a player's career, right? When we have an official visit, we meet them in the front of the building, right? And then when they get off the bus for an official visit, or however you do official visits at your school, and this goes for high school coaches too. When guys get to the building, we're excited that they're there, right? So, are you still showing them that excitement when they're your player? And to me, that is, I stand out in front of the building when our players come in and I shake hands, high five, dap them up, ask them how their day's going. It may be my only chance to connect with the defensive lineman at that. And so I can do that. And I hope, that everybody that's coaching asks themselves, would your players say that you enjoy coaching them? Are you excited when your players get in the building? Do your players feel that? And so I think that's very key, very central in becoming an effective football coach. All the way to the end is if your connection with your players goes away when they run out of eligibility, then I don't know if it ever really started in the right manner. So find a way, find an apparatus to stay in touch with those guys where they always know that no matter what's going on in life, Coach Gibson's going to pick up his phone and say hello. He's going to text me back that I can count on him for advice in life. I can count on him for career advice, and I can just know, hey, when the world feels like it doesn't care, Coach Gibson cares. And if you can establish yourself in those areas with your players, and I think you can be a really effective coach. We can win some games on the field because that's important, but we can win a lot more battles off the field as well and have a connection that lasts for a lifetime.
Yes, sir. Perfect way to end that, Coach. Well, thank you very much for sharing today. Congratulations on being named the associate head coach, and best of luck the rest of this offseason.
All right, thank you for doing what you're doing and promoting the game and promoting the right ways to do things. And this is exciting to be a part of this, and appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Likewise. Thanks.
Thank you.